Hi there and welcome back to Mudwalkers. If you follow my channel closely, you'll know that I've been gone all week. I didn't post anything to YouTube or Vimeo last week, and that's because it was a pretty busy week. I was all over the place last week, and today you're finally getting that story. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, the like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Follow on Vimeo, give me a heart on Vimeo. Check out the link tree in the description down below for all my social media and stuff. Check out the Patreon link in the description below if you'd like to support what I do. And let's get into the video. Leading up to the eclipse, I chit-chatted with a bunch of people about it, and I made arrangements to stay at a place called Eden Ranch in Texas. It's owned by some folks, some friends of mine from Twitter, Kim and Jim. Shout out to Kim and Jim, by the way. Nice folks, good Christian people. And they offered to let me stay at Eden Ranch, which is their place. And I took them up on that, grabbed my tent and went out there for the eclipse. Where Eden Ranch wasn't quite in the totality, and I wanted the totality. So the morning of the eclipse, I started at 6 a.m. and drove out past Waco, west, to find the totality. And I found a public park out there, and I was able to catch the eclipse. While I was at Eden Ranch, it was so nice to just get away and just breathe for a little while, because I'm a busy guy. It may not look it, but I am pretty busy. I work multiple jobs, including Patreon, here, YouTube, etc. The social media stuff that I do, content creation, all that. But I also do other things, so I'm very, very busy all week. And it was nice to just sit back and enjoy some sunshine and fresh air, and just, sit by an open fire and read my Bible and pray, and it was just a great time. Good people too. But then the eclipse, I got out there to that park and I waited, and it was really bright, obviously. You don't want to look directly at the sun. But a nice lady there saw me doing this, just every now and then I would just check it and then I would stop. I wasn't staring, okay? But this nice lady walked up and she said, "Hey, we have some extra eclipse glasses. Do you need some?" I was like, well, sure, I'll take some. So I took some, and then I was able to put them on and I just looked up and I could see that the eclipse was already partial. There was a crescent showing. So I grabbed those eclipse glasses and I put them over my phone and I snapped these pictures. And then, of course, it was a while after that the eclipse itself came about. And it was pretty nuts. It's like I pictured out on the horizon, it's like a sunset. Wow. There was a, sunset, 360 degrees. There was a thunderstorm rolling in on one side. I think it was the south, where you didn't quite get that sunset experience because there was cloud cover over there because of the storm. But I've been telling people it was like something out of the Lord of the Rings. It was surreal to look up and see this black disc and this perfect white halo surrounding it, shimmering. It was incredible, magnificent. The odds that a planet and a moon would be just the right size, the odds that a planet's moon would be just the right size and distance away from that planet to so perfectly line up with the size of its sun is astronomically tiny. The fact that we get that is a miracle of nature.
I would say it's a miracle of design, but that's a whole other conversation.
But it was a phenomenal experience. I'm really glad I was able to get that. I realized that you can see it all over the place, including right here. But it's just something that I wanted to see in person. You know, as much of a, nature guy as I am, I really, really wanted to see it with my own eyes, for my feet to be planted on the earth when I saw it. I also took my my tungsten ring off and I looked at the eclipse through the ring, which felt a little bit like Lord of the Rings as well. If you know, you know. Where's that thing? Come here. Ah, got it. Yes, this ring. This one right here. Focus. This one. Whoop. All right, I leveled up for the rest of the video. Here we go. In case you didn't know, this video is brought to you by Patreon. Mudwalkers has a Patreon page. There'll be a link in the description down below, and in a minute the link will also appear over here. These guys are fantastic. There are multiple tiers you can look at on Patreon, starting from $5 and going on up. Starting from $10 and going up, you get access to a monthly video call with me and the other patrons. I didn't say Zoom call this time. It's a great time for us to get together and share stories and swap ideas and just overall have fun and hang out. It's one of the highlights of my month, honestly, and this past month, the most recent call that we did, I was actually able to do it from a room I rented at a naturist resort, and I had a fantastic conversation with everybody. I even had a patron who met me at the resort, so I was able to have a meeting not just with the patrons, but with the patron with me on the call. It was amazing. I can't wait to do that again. Maybe at some point I'll be at Cypress Cove or Star Ranch or Indian Hills or something, and I'll meet up with another patron or patrons, and we'll be able to do more calls like that. It was a fantastic time. You know who you are. One of the best weekends of Mudwalkers so far, like maybe the best, honestly. Anyway, there's the link. This is Mudwalkers. My name is Chris, and let's get back into the video. One of my patrons is a Christian brother who is sort of new to naturism, and he's been getting me to kind of, show him the ropes, explain not just how naturism works, but to kind of, get into the deeper heart stuff. And so he and I met up at a naturist resort, an Anner place out in Texas. They asked me not to promote the resort, but it is what it is. Just in case, not gonna say where I was. But anyway, met out there and we had a great time, great conversations, good time hanging out. And while we were there, some more Christian naturists happened to be, around the place, and we met up with them, and we had even more conversations with them, and ended up kind of spending the whole weekend, the four of us, together until, we started to one by one bow out and, have to go home, back out to the real world. But it's like people have lives or something. It was a fantastic time with those three folks, and if y'all are watching this video, just know that I adored the time that we got to spend together. It's very, very rare for me to be able to interact with people face to face who actually really get this. And all three of you, the patron and the two folks that I met at the resort, just phenomenal people. I'm so grateful that I was able to get that time. Something else from this weekend, the weekend at the resort and the days that I spent out at Eden Ranch in Texas, just, I was continually struck by the little things. The little things that we forget to enjoy, the things that we forget are there to enjoy. Like just walking in the fresh air. Unless you've experienced it yourself, it's difficult to really put into words that feeling when the wind blows and you can feel that breeze from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, just this full body sensation of the wind. It's what we were designed for. That's your birthright as a human, and most people don't get that. And then skinny dipping, jumping into the water, swimming in the water with no clothes. Again, that's your birthright as a human. You're designed for that. The world was set up this way for you to have that experience, and most people don't. And I was able to just sit and breathe and enjoy the wind and the air and watch the sunrise through the trees. And it was just glorious. This week of adventures has also reminded me of two key concepts of naturism that, again, non-naturists just don't understand, I think, and naturism doesn't really have language for in English. The best phrases I've been able to find for it are naked freedom and naked harmony. So many of you know I'm building a language, a rewilding language called Komi'u. There's a whole video about that up here. In fact, there are several. Just look, across my channel and you'll find them, maybe even with the title Komi'u in them. There's a great video called Marakasu, which is the first part of the book of Mark, the Gospel of Mark, in Komi'u, if you'd like to hear the language spoken, more than just a few words at a time. But there are some neat opportunities in building a language to make words for things that English just doesn't have words for. So I borrowed a concept from ancient Hebrew, which is shalom. And shalom means much more, of course it means peace, like peace unto you, but it means more than just peace. It means wholeness, well-being, order, etc., harmony. And so I've taken that same concept and made a word called ke'u, which is a rough equivalent to shalom, but we don't really have a one-to-one in English for that. And there are two concepts in naturism, like I just said, naked freedom and naked harmony, that English just doesn't have words for. So I've made words for them in Komi'u. And the word for naked freedom is thamu. And thamu, naked freedom, is just that feeling of, I guess, just... Naturists, you'll know what I'm talking about. This idea that when you're out in nature, you're outside, there's the wind and the sun and the ground and the water, and you just don't need clothes. There's a freedom that comes with that. And it's deep down in your heart and your bones, and again, it's difficult to put into words. So it's kind of like saying the color blue. If you're saying the color blue to a blind person who's never seen something before, how do you really describe the word blue? Oh, it's the color of the sky. Oh, wait, you've never seen the sky before. So the only way you can really define a color is by showing it to someone. It has to be experienced. It's the same way for naked freedom, or thamu. And then the other term is naked freedom. It was naked freedom. Then the other one is naked harmony, which is eoe. And this term is there to symbolize, to sum up, to be used for the interactions that you have with other naturists. While I was there over that resort over the weekend, and I had those great conversations with these 3 other Christian naturists, I was struck by the way that it was, the conversations were different. Of course, you can have great conversations where everyone has clothes on, but there's another layer, there's another dimension to a conversation when no one has clothes on. And I can't really explain what that is, but it sweetens and deepens the conversation somehow. And I haven't yet met a naturist who's been able to explain to me how or why that is, but it just kind of is. By the way, you've probably noticed I'm wearing shoes for once. That's because around here we have buck moth caterpillars on the ground right now. These guys right here. They're, fluffy looking, but these little red dots, they're actually spikes, little groups of spikes. And they are less than pleasant. And I'm all about the ecosystem, but if I'm going to step on one, I might as well not get stung. This is one of the things about living in a fallen world, is you're going to have to cover up for your own protection. Hey, there's actually a whole video about that, about Genesis chapter 3, and how the clothes that God gave Adam and Eve were for protection, not for, quote-unquote modesty. That about wraps up the video, but before we go, here's a montage of the great times I had over the week. that the light started coming back so fast. The other side of the sun's poking out now. Hi, you're still here. The video's over. Bye. Yeah. Yeah.